This podcast is brought to you by the Senior Techie, a source of information for seniors and others about technology. And, usually when we talk about legacy or getting our affairs in order or just organizing our lives for the future, there's this underlying expectation of permanence.
Right. We expect things to stick around.
Precisely. Think about the physical world for just a moment.
Yeah.
You spend decades meticulously saving your tax records, your medical histories, the deed to your house. You probably have that heavy metal filing cabinet sitting in the home office or maybe tucked away out in the garage.
Oh, yeah. The one with the incredibly satisfying metallic clunk when you push the drawer closed.
That's the one. You take a pristine piece of paper, you slide it into a crisp manila folder, you place it in the drawer, you shut it, and you just know it is safe.
Yeah, because it's a tangible reality.
Right. You can see it, you can touch it, you can physically hand it to your daughter or your caregiver. And because of that physical presence, you trust it completely.
And it is deeply comforting. I mean, as humans, we like things to be visible and physical. But the problem is, we naturally apply that exact same physical logic to our digital lives.
We really do.
We assume that because we clicked a button that says save, the job is done permanently. We treat our computer's hard drive like it is just a digital version of that metal filing cabinet.
Yeah, we finally take the time to, scan your mother's old handwritten recipes, or we type up our advanced directives, or we save a digital copy of our living will.
Right.
And we put them all in a little yellow folder icon on our computer desktop. And we think, done, I am safe, my family is protected, the records are there.
But then you actually step into the world of digital preservation, and suddenly that sturdy, reliable filing cabinet is revealed to be, well, honestly, it's a bit of an illusion.
A total illusion.
Yeah. We are looking at a digital landscape that is completely full of hidden traps. And this is especially true for those of us trying to organize our lives for the long haul.
Which brings us to our mission today on the Senior Techie Podcast. We are uncovering what is known as the format problem.
Format problem.
Yeah. It is this quiet, almost entirely invisible issue where perfectly safe, uncorrupted, virus-free files become completely and utterly unreadable over time.
It's a huge issue.
So we are going to make sure your vital records are actually accessible to you, your kids, and your caregivers when it matters most. And we want to do it without causing a massive, stress-inducing tech support nightmare.
But this is so crucial for peace of mind, especially for older adults and the people who help care for them. Because, the problem isn't whether you remembered to save your important documents. The problem is entirely about how you save them.
Right. So what does this all mean? I mean, we naturally assume that once a file is saved to our computer, it's permanent, right?
This is a trap.
It feels just like slipping that physical piece of paper into the manila folder. It should just sit there until we need it.
Spot on. That is the mental model almost all of us use every single day. But digital files just do not work that way at all.
They really don't.
The Senior Techie highlights a very harsh reality here. File formats are not permanent. The software companies that create these formats discontinue them, they drastically change them over time, and this is the big one, they lock them entirely behind paid monthly subscriptions.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because it's a bit mind-bending when you first hear it, and it really goes against all our instincts.
It does.
I'm imagining writing a crucial, deeply heartfelt family letter, a document containing, say, all your end-of-life wishes or the history of your grandparents that you desperately want your grandkids and your caretakers to read someday.
A really vital document.
Right. But imagine you write it in a language that, a few years later, goes completely extinct.
Oh, wow.
You still hold the physical letter in your hand, the paper is pristine, the ink isn't smudged at all, but nobody in the family can decipher a single word.
That is a brilliant way to picture the format problem, because the digital file you saved isn't corrupted. You didn't accidentally delete it.
Right, it wasn't destroyed by a malicious computer virus or anything.
No, it is simply stranded in a dead format. The Senior Techie points out that a document you carefully saved back in, say, 2005 using a program like AppleWorks or an older version of Microsoft Word might already be completely unreadable on your current computer.
Unbelievable.
Have you ever tried to open an old file, maybe a document from a decade ago, and your computer just spits out a screen full of random symbols, boxes, and gibberish?
Oh, absolutely. I think everyone has experienced that at least once. And it's terrifying when it's something truly important.
Yeah, we aren't just talking about old grocery lists here.
No, or book club notes from 2012. We are talking about documents at serious, critical risk. Things like wills, powers of attorney, advance directives, prior tax returns, and those old email attachments containing your vital medical records or vaccination histories.
And this raises a very fundamental question. Why does this happen? Why do software companies just let formats die?
Yeah, why do they do it?
Well, the underlying reason is that proprietary formats, meaning the file types owned and controlled by specific for-profit software companies, those are tied directly to a company's bottom line.
Oh, of course. Money.
They are designed specifically to keep you locked within their particular software ecosystem. They are definitely not designed for your long-term legacy.
Right.
I mean, a tech company's primary goal is to sell you the next version of their software or get you onto a monthly billing cycle. Their goal is not to ensure your great-grandchildren have 24/7 access to a single file decades from now.
So if proprietary formats are essentially a trap waiting to be sprung on us, how do we package our digital legacy so it actually survives? Because, well, we have to use something to type up these documents.
You're right. So think of file formats exactly like physical packaging.
Okay, packaging.
Yeah. If you are packing away precious family heirlooms up in the attic, you know that some cheap cardboard boxes will attract moisture, warp, and fall apart in just a few years. But a specialized, climate-controlled, airtight container will protect those heirlooms for decades. The senior techie recommends very specific, good packaging for your digital life.
Okay, so if PDFs and JPEGs are the airtight containers, and I assume they are, based on what I know about computers, I'm trying to figure out what the digital equivalent of a leaky cardboard box is.
Right.
Like, I know I have some old Microsoft Publisher files from a family reunion newsletter I put together a decade ago. Are those safe, or are they bad packaging?
That is a perfect example of a risky format. The risky ones, those leaky cardboard boxes, are formats like .pages, which is Apple's default word processor format, older .doc files, Microsoft Works files, Microsoft Publisher files.
There are quite a few of them.
Basically anything tied to an app that requires an ongoing subscription or a specific branded piece of software to open.
Wait, let me push back on this a little bit, because I am sure someone listening right now is feeling a sudden massive spike of anxiety.
Oh, I'm sure.
They're thinking, wait, but I pay my Apple subscription every month. I pay for Microsoft Office. What does this all mean for the Apple Pages document or the Word file I am literally typing up right now? Is the family history I am writing automatically in danger of disappearing tomorrow?
That is a very fair concern, and we definitely don't want anyone to panic. What's fascinating here is that the danger doesn't usually happen while you are actively using and updating the software on your current computer.
Okay, good.
You are fine right now. The danger happens if the company folds, or, much more likely for the folks listening to this, if you pass away and your family eventually stops paying the monthly subscription for that software.
Oh.
Yeah, access can vanish literally overnight.
Oh, wow. I hadn't thought about the billing aspect. That makes perfect sense, but it's scary.
It's huge. If your daughter needs to open your medical history or your living will on her laptop and she doesn't have an active paid Microsoft 365 subscription of her own, she might be completely locked out of that file at the exact moment she needs it most. The file is essentially held hostage by a paywall.
That is incredibly frustrating. Okay, so we need to avoid the leaky boxes. Let's talk about the good packaging. What is the airtight container for our digital documents?
The absolute gold standard for preserving text documents is the PDF.
I use PDFs all the time. My bank sends me PDFs. But I never really thought about why they are so reliable. I just know they usually open without a fuss.
The reason they work so well is that the PDF was designed from the ground up to preserve documents precisely as they appear on any device without needing the original software that created them.
Okay.
Think of it like a digital photograph of your document that also somehow understands the text. It encapsulates all the text, the specific fonts you used, the layout, the margins, everything is baked into the file itself.
That's brilliant.
And most importantly, it is an open standard. No single company controls the underlying architecture of a PDF anymore.
That is a massive distinction.
Yeah.
Because it means no one can suddenly put a toll booth in front of your document and demand $5 a month just to read your own will.
That's right. The senior techie notes that the Smithsonian Institution Archives uses PDF specifically, a highly stable version called PDFA, designed strictly for archiving as a primary preservation format for decades-long storage.
The Smithsonian?
Yes. And if a format is robust enough for the Smithsonian to store irreplaceable historical records, it is certainly robust enough to protect your durable power of attorney.
I would say so. Okay, so PDF is the airtight container for our text documents. What about all our memories?
Ah, pictures.
Yeah, I have gigabytes of scanned family photos, old Polaroids I digitized,
Right.
pictures of the grandkids' graduations. What is the best container for those?
For photographs, the universal language is JPEG. The standard for JPEG was actually published way back in 1992.
Wow, that is over 30 years old. In tech years, that is practically ancient history.
Yes, and yet it is still flawlessly readable on essentially every single digital device on the planet today. It is incredibly stable.
That's comforting.
But there is a second image format you need to know about, called PNG. The senior techie emphasizes that PNG is much better for things with sharp edges or text in the image.
Why is that? I mean, what is the actual difference between a JPEG and a PNG if they're both just pictures?
Well, it comes down to how the files save space. JPEGs use what's called lossy compression.
Lossy.
Yeah, to make the file size smaller, a JPEG will imperceptibly blend pixels together. That is totally fine for a photo of a sunset or a portrait of your grandson. Your eye won't notice.
Okay.
But PNG uses lossless compression. It remembers the exact, precise color of every single pixel without blending anything. So think of a scanned Medicare card, a digital copy of your vaccination record, or a screenshot of a complicated insurance explanation of benefits.
Ah, I see. If I use a JPEG for a document with fine print, it might get slightly blurry or fuzzy over time as it compresses. But a PNG keeps the text razor sharp.
Precisely. You don't want the account numbers on a scanned financial document to be blurry. In fact, MIT Libraries officially recommends PNG for long-term image preservation, specifically for that reason.
That's a great tip. But,
Yeah.
here's where it gets really interesting. Because I know what the natural counter-argument is from folks listening.
Oh, I think I know what you're going to say.
I can hear people yelling at their speakers right now. People will say, I don't need to worry about file formats. I don't need to worry about PDFs or PNGs because I just save everything to the cloud.
Right.
It's all backed up in Google Drive or it's in iCloud. It's perfectly safe up there.
That is a very common, very understandable, and frankly, very dangerous assumption.
Really?
Yes. The senior techie warns that relying solely on the cloud is not a magic bullet for the format problem. In fact, relying only on the cloud introduces entirely new, separate risks.
Right, because when we say the cloud, it sounds so ethereal and permanent, like this magical place in the sky. But the cloud is essentially just someone else's computer server sitting in a massive air-conditioned warehouse somewhere in Nevada.
That is all it is, and because it belongs to someone else, you are playing by their rules.
Oh, true.
If you stop paying your monthly iCloud or Dropbox storage fee, or if the company abruptly changes its terms of service, or, and this happens all the time to older adults, if you simply forget your password and cannot navigate the complex recovery process,
Yeah, that happens a lot.
those files can become permanently unreachable.
And even if you can reach them, even if your kids have your passwords, a bad format is still a bad format.
Yes.
I'm thinking of another analogy here to really drive this home. Let's say you have an old broken audio cassette tape from the 1970s.
Okay.
The tape itself is tangled, it's snapped in half, it is totally unplayable. And you decide to store that broken cassette tape in a state-of-the-art, climate-controlled, highly secure, armed guard storage facility.
I see exactly where you are going with this. The highly secure facility represents the cloud.
Spot on. Putting that broken cassette tape into the world's best, most expensive storage facility doesn't magically repair the tape and make it playable.
No, it doesn't.
When your daughter eventually goes to retrieve it during a family emergency, she unlocks the vault, and she still just has a broken cassette tape. A .pages file sitting securely in iCloud is still a .pages file.
That is a perfect visualization. The storage location does not magically fix the packaging. If Apple completely changes the Pages format 10 years from now, or if your family tries to open that iCloud file on a standard Windows PC at a hospital, they are back to square one.
Because the format is still locked.
Right. The format problem simply travels with the file, no matter where you store it.
So what is the actual practical smart approach here? Because I definitely don't want to tell people to stop using the cloud entirely. I mean, it is incredibly convenient for automatically backing up your photos from your phone.
Oh, you absolutely shouldn't stop using the cloud. The cloud is a great tool. The smart approach is simply to use both strategies together. You save your important files as PDFs and JPEGs, first fixing the format, repairing the break in cassette tape, and then you back those repaired, universally readable files up to the cloud.
I see.
That way, the format itself is safe to open on any device, and the backup is safe off-site in case your home computer breaks or is stolen.
Belt and suspenders.
That's right. And the senior techie suggests taking it one critical step further for your absolute most important documents. Keep a physical, local copy of those specific files on a USB thumb drive.
A physical drive.
Yes. Store that thumb drive somewhere incredibly safe, like a fireproof lockbox under the bed, a safe deposit box at the bank, or physically hand a copy to a trusted family member or caregiver.
That makes a lot of sense.
The entire overarching goal for seniors and their caregivers is independent access. You want your vital records to be totally free from monthly subscription fees, free from requiring constant high-speed internet connections, and completely free from reliance on a single tech company's goodwill.
Okay, I have to admit, hearing about all these risks, extinct file formats, cloud lockouts, subscription traps, password recovery nightmares,
Yeah.
it can feel incredibly overwhelming.
It is a lot to take in.
If I have thousands of files spanning decades of my life, I am exhausted just thinking about going through and converting every single one of them. It sounds like a full-time job that I just don't have the energy for.
And you absolutely shouldn't try to convert them all.
Mhm.
Really, really. That leads to analysis paralysis, and then you end up doing nothing at all. The Senior Techie provides a very practical, immediate, and highly manageable solution. Do not overhaul everything. Start with just your top 5 most important files.
Just 5.
Just 5.
That is totally manageable. I can sit down with a cup of coffee and do 5. What should those 5 be?
Think about the documents that would cause an immediate, painful crisis for your family if they were lost or unreadable. Your will, your advance directive or healthcare proxy, your master list of passwords, which is incredibly vital, your most recent tax return, and a critical medical summary listing your current medications and doctors.
Those are definitely the big ones.
And here is the simple 15-minute fix to future-proof them. You open the document in whatever program you normally use to type it. You go to the top corner and choose File, then Save As or Export, depending on the program. And you simply change the format from whatever it currently is to PDF before saving.
That's it. Just a couple of clicks. I don't need to download some fancy conversion software.
That's it. No special software required. For your most crucial scanned photos or documents, you open them in your standard photo viewer and export or save a copy as a JPEG or a PNG.
And I can still keep the old file too.
Oh, absolutely. You can keep the original editable file if you want to keep making changes to it later, but now you have a permanent, universally readable version tucked away safely.
And this is something you can literally do right now without buying anything new. Microsoft Word, Google Docs, Apple Pages, they all let you export directly to PDF in just 2 clicks.
Very easy.
And the Senior Techie points out that LibreOffice, which is a completely free open source program that is currently on version 26.2.1, does it in just one single click.
Yep.
It has a dedicated export to PDF button right on the main toolbar.
It is incredibly straightforward once you know to do it. But the ultimate benefit here is profoundly important for seniors and their families. PDFs and JPEGs require 0 paid subscriptions to open. None.
That's huge.
Anyone with a computer, a smartphone, or a tablet can open them immediately right out of the box without asking for a credit card.
Including your kids, your grandkids across the country, or, an emergency caregiver who might be stepping in to help you out at 2 in the morning.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it is the difference between your vital medical records being immediately accessible to a paramedic or an ER nurse during a sudden health emergency versus your frantic daughter calling a tech support hotline at the worst possible moment because she doesn't have the right software license to open your health proxy on her iPad.
Just hearing that scenario makes my heart rate go up.
Right. Imagine the incredible relief of your caregiver just tapping a PDF icon on their smartphone and having the document instantly appear clear as day.
I absolutely love how empowering that is. We talk so much about the stress of caregiving and the quiet, nagging anxiety of making sure our affairs are perfectly in order as we age.
It's a heavy burden.
Taking 15 minutes this week to secure those top 5 files gives you and your family 24/7 peace of mind. You aren't just saving a digital file, you are actively saving your loved ones from a potential crisis when they are already vulnerable and stressed.
We spend so much time and money curating our physical lives, don't we? Drafting wills with expensive attorneys, organizing physical photo albums with little handwritten notes on the back of each picture, meticulously arranging our care plans so our families never have to guess what we want.
We really do.
Ensuring the digital versions of these deeply personal documents are actually readable is the ultimate final act of care and love for your family.
It really brings us back to the importance of taking control of our legacy. And, it leaves us with an entirely new question to consider as technology continues to evolve at breakneck speed.
Oh, I'm curious.
We are entering an era where artificial intelligence can read, summarize, and translate almost anything in seconds.
That's true.
It leaves you wondering, as AI gets better and more integrated into our daily lives, will artificial intelligence eventually solve this format problem by instantly translating any old extinct file we throw at it? Or will tech companies simply use AI to create even more complex, heavily locked down, proprietary formats that we have to keep track of? Will our digital legacies become easier to access, or will they be guarded by an entirely new generation of artificial toll booths?
That is a fascinating thing to ponder. Because the technology changes, but the core need to protect our history remains the same.
This podcast was brought to you by The Senior Techie. It's available on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and Spotify. If you'd like to receive their free newsletters, you can subscribe by going to subscribe.theseniortechie.com.